Hello, everyone. Welcome to another live session. It's Friday, April 11th, 2025. This session will be all about understanding and knowing the difference between being discerning and being judging to be able to make good decisions in your life. I think this is really, I think people get confused about judging versus discerning, and especially for those of you who don't want to be judging others or judging situations because the divine does want us to refrain from judging. I think this is a really important topic for you because I personally don't like to judge others or judge others because I think I am just as flawed as everybody else. So, but how do you make decisions? You make decisions by being discerning, and I want to go into that so that you can make the right decisions for your life. Hi, Pooja. Hi, Najera. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining this live session. So that is the topic for today, and I welcome any questions that you have on this topic or any other topic that you may have a question about. And let's get started. Let's clear the energy of the room. And then let's get started with this topic of how to be discerning versus being judging so that you can make the right decisions for your own life. So just stay present in the now, breathe naturally, and focus your mind attention in this present moment, the power of now. Dear God, angel, spirit guide, send a master, divine creator, thank you so much for allowing us to create this sacred space on the topic of how to be discerning versus judging to be able to make better decisions in our life. Thank you so much for allowing us to have these wonderful conversations and engage with each other so that we may learn from each other, and for channeling, to be able to channel these wisdoms and messages from the divine and from the universal forces that is infinitely smart, infinitely wise, infinitely powerful. We surrender to your infinite wisdom and power. Thank you so much for removing any low frequency energies that do not serve the highest and best good of everyone involved or everyone engaged in this room so that we may benefit from this session at the highest level. Thank you so much for allowing this session to go off with flow, ease, peace, serenity, and with lots of compassion and love, so that we may all learn from each other. And we also would like to send beautiful healing energies to people around the planet who are struggling within themselves, who are lost, who are confused, who are anxiety. And we ask you to please send them lots of healing, show them the light, guide them to their path, and allow them to have peace, inner peace, because there is a lot of, seems to be a lot of chaos around the world. So thank you so much for always being here with us and for allowing us to have a wonderful session today. Thank you, and so it is. Okay, great to see you, Najira. Great to see you as well. Okay, so what is the difference between being discerning and judging? One of the things is that the energy of judging, when we judge others, and we do it all the time, right? All of us do it. I don't think any of us are uh, really, really clean and pure to have not judged anybody in the past, right? Even though our intention, sometimes we have good intentions to try to not to judge others, we kind of do in our own way. And some people do it a lot more than others. So there's a level of different levels of judging that we all embody. And I think that in my personal life, I try not to judge. I try to be aware when I'm judging, and I try to pause when I'm doing so. And so, why is when we judge others, there's something within ourselves that we feel uncomfortable about. There's something within ourselves that we're not happy about, and therefore we judge others. So, when we're really judging others, we're really judging ourselves. And so, for example, I know that sometimes I've heard from people in my family, from other people, where you might be judging rich people that, I remember somebody saying to me, oh, the rich people, they're superficial, and what are they going to do with that money, and they're selfish, and They don't think about other people and they're not compassionate. And there's these judgments that I've seen people make about people who have money. And so it's saying that something about that person is short of character because they have money. Now, that's judging. That's judging in a way that we don't know anything about that person or that person's journey or that person's life and how that person made that money. The person could have come from the poorest family and have made all that money, right? So we're coming from a place where we have no knowledge about that person and that person's life and what they've gone through to be able to have that money. And actually, most wealth in the US, at least, is really earned, made. It's not inherited. Most, I would say about 80 to 90% of the people who are multimillionaires in this country have earned it, have made it. They didn't come from a rich family. So when we say those things about such people, make those types of judgments, right? That there's some character flaw of having money, right? There must be something wrong with that person to have money. It's not a good energy because you're putting out a negative energy. You're putting out a low frequency energy. And when you put out that low frequency energy, low frequency things come back to you. And so when we judge people, we're really actually blocking our own energetic flow to be able to manifest the things in our life that we want to manifest. We're actually blocking our own energetic flow when we judge people that way superficially. And what it really is saying is that there's something about your life that you're not happy, that maybe you don't have as much money, maybe you don't have as much of the material things that you want. And so you're looking at other people with envy, with envy. And these are all low frequency energies, envy, jealousy, judging. They're all low frequency energy. So you're really only blocking your own ability to manifest because you're blocking the energetic flow. So when we speak like that and when we judge others, we're really judging ourselves and it's really um, a window into what is going on in your own life. That you may not have that money, you want that money, and you don't have it. And so when you see other people have it, instead of looking inward, you're going to project it outwards because it's harder, because it's easier to judge others than to judge yourself, right? It's easier to judge others than to say, what do I need to do? What do I need to change? So this is why judging becomes a really low frequency energy and it blocks energetic flow. And flow is what you need to manifest, whether it's money, career, business, relationships. That's what it's all about. It's about flow. And judging creates that blocked energy. It puts a wall up. And so even though universal forces want to bring you cooperative components for that manifestation, you've blocked your own energy. You're shooting yourself in the foot. And so, but then it's like you have to make decisions in your life, right? If you have a career or if you have finances or you have a business or whatever, we need to all make decisions in our life. And we need to make good decisions in our life because those good decisions will lead to better results. You'll have a lot more success. When you make bad decisions, that leads to failure. When you make good decisions, that leads to success. So we need to make decisions, right, about what we're going to do, whether it's in personal relationship, are we going to marry this person? Or whether it's in business, are we going to create this product versus another product? Or whether it's in money, how do I manage my money? Do I invest it? Do I not invest it? Do I invest it in this? Do I then invest that? Right? So we've got to make decisions for our own life, and those decisions will lead to certain results and consequences, right? And so we've got to make decisions every day. And so we're dealing and these decisions a lot of often happen with others involved, with situations involved. So we never, like, if we're building a company, we don't build it ourselves. We might need an investor to come in, or we might need a business partner, right? We need people around us. We are all dependent on others, right? We're all dependent. And that dependency is what we're all interdependent on each other. that we need this person for this, we need this person. I mean, when I go on an airplane, I'm completely dependent on the pilot and the flight attendants. I'm dependent on the ground crew that maintains that airplane, right? So anything that we do, we have an interdependence on others, right? And so how do we make those decisions about, okay, if I'm trying to open up a restaurant, open up this business, and I need an investor, I need a business partner, is this the person that I should be doing business with? Because if you get the right business partner, you'll succeed. If you get the wrong business partner, you're going to fail. So you have to make decisions and you have to place some type of opinion around that person or that situation, right? You have to form an opinion. You have to form some type of evaluation about the person or the people. And that evaluation is really the energy of discerning. You're discerning. So you're taking away the energy of it's discerning is forming an opinion based on some evidence that you're seeing by the person or by some type of evidence that you're seeing around the situation around that person or the way they present themselves, the way they talk, also what they say versus what they do. It's observation. Being discerning is to observe mindfully, opinion about that person to be able to say, yes, I want to work with you. I want to bring you as a business partner. I want to create a 50-50 partnership because that's a big deal, creating a 50-50 partnership, right? And so this is why forming that opinion through mindful observation is important so that you can make a decision that you're going to be in business with this person or not be in business. That's different from judging. That is when you discern through observation of what they're saying, how they're behaving. You're observing the situation, you're looking at the evidence, and then you're making a decision that is best for the best for you, that resonates with you, that's aligned with you. Because those decisions, when you make right decisions, you'll have more success in life. You will manifest at a higher rate, at a more successful rate. That is the discerning energy. So you're not making opinions about somebody based on something that you don't know, right? Like I said, when you have that envy energy, the envy energy is really just blasting out opinions about somebody that you don't know anything about them. You've observed something on a superficial level, and because there's something lacking in your own life, you're projecting that out to somebody else. That's judging because there's a lack. You're really judging yourself, but you don't want to judge yourself. You don't want to admit that there's something going on with you that you need to change. And so therefore, you're projecting this opinion on somebody else that is superficial. That's more of a judging energy. The discerning energy is really observing the people and situations in a more neutral way with a third eye witness, not putting feelings on it, not putting these emotions and feelings, trying to remove those emotions, trying to remove the ego mind and remove some feelings and observing the situation with some level of neutrality. Because when you're able to observe with neutrality, you're 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 making a better decision because you're making decision based on keen observation, keen observation of what they say, keen observation of what they do. Do their actions align with what they say or do? And then based on that and based on evidence and that neutral energy that you're bringing, you're forming an opinion that is aligned for your highest and best good. That is the discerning energy versus the judging energy. You see the big difference? There's a big difference between those two energies. And so, as you're trying to manifest your life, you want to form those opinions based on a discerning energy and not wasting your time with the judging energy, because every time we judge, like I said, that creates blocks in our energetic flow. And those blocks do not allow us to manifest, do not allow us to move our frequency higher and manifest. Whereas the discerning energy is really an energy of just let me take my emotions away from this. Let me look at this from a neutral perspective, a third eye witness perspective. Let me listen to this person. Let me see what this person has to say. Let me see what this person does. Let me see evidence. Let me look and let me, see what other people say about these people. It's evidence that you're looking for something. You're looking at it with a very sharp observation, and then you're coming to your conclusions and making a decision. That's the discerning energy. And that discerning energy is a beautiful thing, because the more you can discern, the better decisions you come to. And then those better decisions create better success in your life. So you see the difference between those two things? Okay, so let's take a little break and see if there's any questions or comments here. Hi, Sharon. Good morning. Hi, Hope Suzanne. Good morning. Thank you. Good to see you here too, Hope Suzanne. Botanical Bro 888. Hi, Botanical Bro. How are you? Hi, butterflies. Oh, thank you so much. Much love in return. Okay, so Najira has a question. I met a guy who said that he has met immoral and toxic women in the past. Hence, I have to prove him that I am a good person. I feel like I am unconditional worthy and don't need to prove. Yes, I agree. I agree with you. I think he's got the energy that he's putting forth is he's been screwed. And so he's put up this massive defense. And because he's put up this massive defense, he doesn't know how to relax. He doesn't understand. He doesn't, it's like it's as if he's almost shooting himself in the foot, because there might be somebody great in front of him and he wouldn't recognize it because he's got this big defense up. So what's happening is and I understand from his perspective that I've been screwed in the past. I've got my defense up. And therefore now I'm going to approach every situation with this defense up. And having a defense up does not make for getting to know the other person, right? Because it kind of turns other people off. When somebody's defensive and saying this without even knowing you, then it's kind of a turn off for you, right? So this person is really shooting himself in the foot by putting up that big defense. Now, what he should be is he should be discerning. He should say, yes, I have been screwed in the past, and I know that I'm guarded now, but I'm still open to getting to know people, because I know that there's still more people that are good than not good, right? More women that are good than not good. So while I have my guard up and I can see the signs when something's not right, and I'm going to be discerning and observing keenly for the signs that are red flag, I'm going to make sure that I keep myself open still for the woman that is right, for the good woman, right? That's really the balanced energy that he should have. But just putting up a wall like that, he's actually shooting himself in the foot, because what is happening is if he can't, if there's a woman that is great that's around him, he wouldn't recognize it because he's put his defense up. And you or somebody else would be turned off by that defense, right? Just when somebody's defensive that much, you're turned off by that. So let him be on his journey. There's nothing to really convince, because he's on his journey. He's on his soul's path. And you don't have to date him, right? There's other men out there. So you want to attract the man that is going to honor you. That's not going to be so defensive. Maybe he'll change. Maybe it'll take him 3 years, 4 years, 5 years to change and soften up. Maybe, but that's his journey. That's not your journey. So the best thing to do is just say, okay, and go about your life. That's it. Okay, go about your life. Go about your life. He's not the only, man on this planet. There's other people, right? So the best thing is to say, okay, doesn't matter. He's on his journey. You're on your journey. You're going to move forward with your life. And if he wants to invite you for lunch or dinner somewhere, and you want to go, then go. Explore it. But don't put a lot of emotions or a lot of energy into the relationship right now while this is happening. If he wants to invite you for lunch and you want to go and you have a good time at lunch and he's going to invite you again for lunch, then that's great. But if he's putting on the stance, I wouldn't put a lot of energy into this person. That's all I'm saying. Now, if he comes to you and say, I want to invite you to lunch, then yeah, go check it out. Maybe his guard will start coming down as he starts to get to know you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying shut the door. I'm saying let him approach you to invite you out for lunch or dinner, and then go and see if he still continues to be this hard, then make a decision. Is it worth it for me to, put any more energy? I wouldn't put a lot of energy into it, but I'm not saying close the door on him, but don't put a lot of energy. Keep moving forward with your life and let him figure it out. Okay. So it's a good question. Thank you, Najira. I left the situation because I realized I felt proving myself would drain me. Absolutely. You did the right thing. I would feel the same way. I think you made a great decision. Right. Think about it. You always try to prove yourself. It's so draining, right? Why do you have to prove yourself? That's the point. And it's like you are unconditionally worthy. So that means he's just not the right person. That's what it is. And the fact that you came to that decision quickly was very wise, was very smart. The fact that you say, I'm not even going to give any energy to this because this thing feels draining. And I would probably have done exactly the same thing that you did. So, I think you made the right decision for yourself. And congratulations to you for making that decision and making it quickly and seeing that you are unconditionally worthy. And that if this guy can't recognize you, if he's got his defense up, that means he's got to do his own inner work. He's got to do his own inner transformation. And you don't need to be involved with that because that could be messy, right? So you made a good decision, Najira. Good for you. You were smart, you were wise, and you stood up for yourself. You stood up for the fact that you're unconditionally worthy. Okay. Hi, Botanical Bro. Hi, Amber. Thank you. So, what is the best technique for dealing with fear of rejection in regard to socializing, dating? Also, fear in relation to monetary issues. Right. Okay. I just talked about this a little bit. Fear of dealing with rejection. That comes from when you have a solid foundation of feeling unconditionally worthy and good enough. Rejection will not be that big deal. You would just keep moving on. You know why people are really successful? The people who are really successful, they're successful because they've been rejected many, many times, but they kept going. They knew that if they kept going, that something's going to open, something's going to come to pass, and something great. Because you could meet 100 people, right? It only takes one good person to change your life or one good person to, resonate with you. That's all it takes. So you could be rejected 100 times. And a lot of successful people, if you look at them, they were rejected hundreds and hundreds of times. But it's because they knew they had confidence in self. They had a certain level of self-worth that they didn't let it stop them. They just didn't. They just kept going on. They kept going on. They kept going on. Now, you know what I'm saying? So it's a self-worth issue. It's to honor yourself. So when you don't feel you're good enough, then when you get rejected by somebody, it's like reinforcing that you're not good enough. And so the work here is to feel good enough, to feel worthy, to feel unconditionally good enough and unconditionally worthy, to move in that direction. That's the key here. Because if you feel worthy and good enough, if somebody rejects you, you're like, okay, that means it's not for me. That means that person shouldn't be in my life. I shouldn't be working with that person, or that I shouldn't be dating that person. I shouldn't be doing. That's what that means. That's the universe's way of protecting you. And so you keep going, you keep moving forward. You say, okay, that's okay. That means that person isn't right for me. It doesn't resonate, doesn't align with my life, doesn't align with my values, doesn't align with who I am, right? But that comes with self-worth, understanding that you're really feeling, not just mentally understanding, but feeling every cell in your body feels So I would do meditations. I have meditations on my meditation playlist for feeling unconditionally worthy, feeling good enough. When you start connecting with your higher self, the deepest part of you and the divine, you will start to feel that. You will start to feel that I am unconditionally worthy and I am good enough by the virtue of my energetic blueprint on this universe. Once you start feeling that, those rejections, it doesn't affect you that much. And I bet you rejections would happen less and less because you're probably going to meet the right people sooner because you've created flow energy. The more energy you create for flow because you feel confident in yourself, you start to meet the people soon, the right people and right situations sooner than later. So you're not being rejected 100 times, you might be rejected 10 times before you meet the right person. You get what I'm saying? So it's the inner work that you have to be focusing on. It's not about those people that are rejecting you. It has nothing to do with it. It's about I feel good enough so that even though I get rejected by this, it means that it's just not right for me. That's what it means. Okay. And then the second part of your question is um relation to monetary fear in relation to monetary issues. Yes. I think fear in relation to the fear is a very powerful energy, right? It's a very, very powerful energy. So what I'm hearing from you is I have fear that I have some lack of money, right? I don't have enough money in the bank, or maybe I can't make money. I have that fear. And so that fear is obviously creating more blocked energy, right? It's creating more blocked energy. So the more you could work on yourself of feeling that unconditional worthy good enough, and the more you connect with your soul, your higher self, the divine, the more you understand that there's a process that the universal forces has your back in being able to make money, being able to drive the finances, that you have faith and trust in the process. And so as you have faith and trust, because you're not having trust in yourself and you're not having trust in the divine to be able to have the money or make that money, right? If you don't have that trust, of course you're going to have fear, right? Because you fear that you can't make the money. You fear that the money's not going to come. But think about it. If you have if you have more trust in you, your infinite potential, because you are a being of infinite potential, that you have been bestowed unique gifts and talents to be able to manifest money. You have specific things that nobody has. Nobody could express it the way you can. And you apply that, you're going to start making money. But if you don't trust in your innate abilities, innate potential, because you have infinite potential, if you don't have trust in that, you don't have faith in that, that is connected to the divine, then of course you're gonna doubt yourself. You're gonna doubt yourself. And when you doubt yourself, then you're gonna say, no, I can't make that money. I can't have that type of money. So it's an inner world thing that you have to trust in yourself, that you have innate abilities and talents and gifts that only God gave you, and the way you're going to express it is going to be unique, and you're going to express it in a unique way that's going to bring value. And when you bring value, that's when you make money. You see? So you're doubting yourself. You're doubting your innate ability. You're doubting your infinite potential. You're doubting your gifts and talents and your smartness. You're doubting it. And that doubt creates the fear. And the fear then creates blocked energy. And then the blocked energy, it's hard to make the money or bring in the money or attract the money. Okay. So work on those things. Okay. So know that you are an infinite being of infinite potential. That's what you really are. And your ego mind is messing with you. This mind is messing with you because society says, oh, you're good enough because you have this money. You're good enough because you have this. A lot of the worth is attached to conditions in society, that you are better than somebody else because you have more money. You are better than somebody else because you have this house. You are better than somebody else because you look like this, which is all false. It's a myth. Nobody's better than anybody. We are just oranges and apples. And the fact that we absorb this and we put it in our mind and we keep repeating it because we keep absorbing it, it goes into the subconscious mind and it creates so much doubt about your ability, so much doubt about who you are, so much doubt about your infinite potential, so much doubt about your talents and gifts. And then when you have those doubt, you feel like I can't make money. And that's when fear comes in. Okay. So I hope this has helped you. And there's lots of go through my guided meditation list and see what meditations can help you connect with your infinite, your higher self, your soul, the infinite part of you. What are the things that you could do to help connect with that infinite part of you that has infinite potential? Okay. But it's a great question. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Okay, Ava. Hi there, Moon. Hi, Ava. I found a publisher who wanted to publish my manuscript, yet I have to cover the cost of the process myself. I found someone who can help me with crowdfunding, but I feel unworthy to ask. Okay. Well, Ava, thank you so much for that honesty that you feel unworthy to ask. And so what it is this, is that, you can say to yourself, you ask, what is the, think about it. What is the worst case scenario if you asked? That they're going to say no? So what? Again, it comes back to that worthiness, right? It comes back because if you had enough worth, you say, okay, I'm going to ask, I'm going to go through this journey. And so what? That means that if it's rejected, it means that it's not the right partner. It's not the right person. It's not the right, but what's the worst that could happen? That they say no? Have you lost anything by them saying no? No, you haven't. It's really, you know what I'm saying? So what is the absolute upshot of asking? The worst case scenario, they say no. So what? You still have a manuscript, right? And that means that the universe is saying, look somewhere else. Don't look here. It's like blessings, and it's guiding you, saying there's no flow in this direction. So don't keep harboring on that when there's no flow. You're going to move on. You're going to move on. You're going to move on. And so that's where I think you're saying, I don't feel worthy to ask. Then you've got to work on that worthiness. What can I do to them? How can I connect with my divinity? How can I connect with my higher self to feel worthy and to know that I could go out, and if somebody says no and I get rejected, so what? It means the universe is just saying, this is not the right person for you. This is not the right timing, or it's not the right partnership. It's not the right. I keep moving forward. Okay, so what you're doing here is you're self-publishing. So when you cover the cost of publishing, that means you're self-publishing. So you're actually self-publishing. So Ava, I would really, really recommend that you think about, how are you going to make money with this? How are you going to market this book? Because most people, they publish and they self-publish, but because they don't have you have to connect with the people that are going to resonate with your manuscript, right? Marketing is at least 50%, if not more, of the process. So you have to think about that before you spend all of this money. Think about how you're going to connect with your audience. Your audience is out there, but how are you going to connect with that audience? Because that's where most people trip and fall, is the marketing, is to be able to connect with the audience that resonates with you and your writing. Because there are people that are going to resonate, but you may not hit them, because marketing is such a big deal. So if you can't get to them, if you can't market to the people that are going to resonate with you, then that manuscript can just sit there. The book can just sit there. So you want to drive how it's going to connect with those audience that resonates with you. So you want to think about that before you pour in a lot of money into, because it's called self-publishing. What you're doing is self-publishing. Think about the marketing side. How can you connect with the audience? Who is your audience? You want to figure out, this is the type of person that's going to read my book. And you want to get a clear picture of who that person would be. And then you're going to have to think about, how I'm going to reach those people. Marketing is a huge, I would say the book is about 50% and marketing is 50%. So you have to think about the marketing before you pour in all that money into self-publishing, because self-publishing, I mean, could be in the thousands. I don't know how much, 3, 4, 5, 10,000. I don't know. It could be in the thousands. So you want to think about how you're going to reach your audience before you start pouring in all that money. Okay. Because if you don't think about, then the manuscript can just sit there and you've spent all this money. Okay, so think about the marketing side. That's really important. Hi, Penny, Siraj. Hi. No, it's not too late. I'm gonna be on for another like 10 minutes. I have a meeting at 10 a.m. here, but so it's not. If you have any questions, let me know. Ava, can unalignment in actions result in panic attacks, by the way, or feeling uneasy generally? When you say unalignment, are you saying that you're taking actions that do not align with you and therefore it creates panic? Is that what you're saying? Are you saying that you've taken actions that didn't feel aligned and therefore, or are you saying that you broke away from something and now you're starting to get panic attacks? If you can clarify that question, I would really appreciate it. You're welcome, Najira. I'm happy to provide whatever messages that can help you in your journey of life. You're welcome, Botanical. You're welcome. I feel that, Moon, but I didn't feel being unconditionally worthy 2 years back. Right, because it's a process, it's a journey. I mean, I'm still on the journey of feeling unconditionally worthy. Every day I'm on that journey. It never stops for me. I just get a little better each day. That's what you're trying to achieve. You're trying to achieve. Nobody's going to be, I don't think there's anybody on this planet that has zero um, feelings of doubt about themselves. Zero. It's just a gradation. Some people are much more confident than others, that feel more worthy than others. But I don't think there's anyone on the planet where they could say, I feel 1,000% unconditionally worthy. I think there's always some point in people's lives where they feel that they're not worthy or good enough. They question it. Some people just do it a lot more than others. Some people, it's just you're on a gradation. Where are you on that gradation? That's all that is. So the fact that you didn't feel that 2 years ago, now that means you've been working on yourself. It's been a development, it's been a process. So that's a beautiful thing. And you should congratulate yourself for having come to that conclusion now. And there are some people that didn't make that progress that you made. So give yourself a lot of credit for making that progress. And each day is a work in progress. Okay. So thank you so much. Penny, hi. I tuned in for a reason. I needed this message. Currently dealing with imposter syndrome in work. Have had a lot of setbacks and I keep getting knocked back with my applications for other jobs. What I would do, Penny, Saraja, when you're doing something and it feels like all you're doing is getting knocked down, knocked down, knocked down, sometimes you just want to pause that energy and you want to do something that makes you feel come home to your soul, that connects you with your divinity. You want to reset your energy. And so sometimes just pausing, giving a temporary pause and doing things, maybe spending more time with nature, maybe I don't know what it is for you, but giving that pause and resetting that energy can help them flow the energy again. But sometimes when you just get blocked, 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 you don't want to keep staying in that energy because it might create more blocks. Sometimes it's just saying the universe is saying pause, pause, reset your energy. And then when you come back to it, return to it, you might have a different angle. You might have a different approach. You might have a different strategy that you didn't think of before because your energy was blocked. Okay. So stay with the course, Penny. You are unconditionally worthy and you are good enough. I'm glad this message really resonated with you. What is the link to the AI questionnaire? Yeah, let me send you that link here. So we're building an AI educational platform, um, building an AI educational platform on traditional Chinese medicine healing system. And so we're asking those of you to take a survey and letting us know what it is that you want or need in such a platform because it will help us. We started already developing, we will really help us to develop the site in a way that is really useful to you. So we want to get your feedback and what features, what types of things you would want on such a platform. So it's an AI educational platform on traditional Chinese medicine healing system. You're welcome, Penny. Hi, Jenny Jones. What's my Cash App? I'm not sure. You could, there's a button here that says show your support for yin. You can send a donation on this button right here with the dollar sign. I don't have a cash app. So if you want to make a donation, just make it right here in the chat where it says dollar sign. You can make a donation. Hi, Jenny Jones. You had the chat pray for me last year. It helped so much. Oh, you're welcome, Jenny Jones. I'm so glad that we were able to help you in your journey of life. I know that we're all going through our ebbs and flows, our peaks and valleys. And sometimes I think the power of prayer is so powerful. I really do. I pray all the time. I feel like I'm praying all day. I pray while I do dishes. I'll pray while I walk my dog. So, hi, Entertainment Capsule. How are you? Welcome. Welcome to this session. Okay, so does anybody have any other questions about this discerning versus judging? Okay, so let me recap about what discerning is and what judging is so that you can make good decisions in your life. So you have to form an opinion about people or situations to make decisions, right? That's the bottom line. You have to form some type of opinion to be able to make a decision about whether you want to work with somebody, whether, you know, what you're going to eat. You're going to have to make decisions, right? You know, we make decisions every day, and those decisions affect our future. It does affect our future. So we want to make a decision not from the perspective of judging energy. We might want to make decisions from the perspective of the discerning energy. And what are the two differences? What are the differences between judging and discerning? Judging is when you form an opinion about somebody that is coming from a space of lack. So as I said before, if you see somebody who's rich, who has money, and you start saying things and you don't know anything about this person, you know nothing about this person, and you start saying this person is greedy, this person doesn't have compassion, this person is just about money, doesn't care about humanity, and you don't know anything about that person, you don't know anything how they made the money, nothing. That's really a judgment on yourself. There's a lack that you feel. Maybe that's an envy energy because you may not have that level of money. And that's considered block energy. So it's really, when you judge others in that superficial way, you're really judging yourself and something lacking within yourself. And so, it's really coming from a place of irrationality, a feeling of envy, and therefore I'm projecting that onto somebody else. When you're discerning, you're looking at the person or the situation with a very keen observation. You're keenly observing, what are they saying? What are they doing? Are what their actions aligned with what they say? What is, that's what you're doing. You're observing like a third eye witness. You're taking away all that emotion of all those, crazy emotions. You're taking that away and you're looking at the situation of that person with a third eye witness, and you're keenly observing. And based on the observing that person, what they say, the evidence around that person, observing what other people are saying, you're making an observation, a keen observation. And based on that observation, you're going to make a decision that is best for you, a decision that aligns with you, the decision that really says, this person is somebody that I should work with because this person really aligns with me. And so that's the discerning energy. And so when you make a decision, says, I want to work with this person because this person I have keenly observed, and I have made an opinion that this person aligns with me, and therefore I want to bring that person as a business partner. That's discerning energy. You're making a decision from a discerning perspective, not from a judging perspective. And when you do that, the more you can do that, the better the decision making will be, and the more success you will have in manifesting. So those are the two different energies, discerning and judging. One energy is flow energy. The discerning energy is flow energy. The judging energy is blocked energy. It's blocked energy because everything about that energy is low frequency. It's envy, it's jealousy, it's something lack within your life. And so you're projecting that onto somebody else. The discerning energy is keen observation and understanding the person or the situation. And if it aligns with you, you you partner with that person, you have that person in your life. You see the difference between those two energies? So I recommend that you really embrace the discerning energy. Don't put a lot of energy into judging. Now we all judge. Like I said, we all have judged that. So what I do is when I'm judging somebody, I try to catch myself and I say, pause. Moon, you're judging right now. Pause. Take a break. Pause. Walk away. Pause. Pause. That's what I say to myself when I catch myself judging. I think we all still do it, all of us. It's just whether you could catch yourself and do it less and less. Oh, Jenny Jones, thank you so much for the donation. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. You're welcome for the prayer. I'm glad to do it. Okay, so if there's no other questions, thank you, Jenny Jones, for the donation. I really appreciate it. Let's do a closing prayer. And I'll see you again next week. Next week, I'm going to be out of town, so I'm going to try to do the live session while I'm in my hotel room, with my laptop. So I'll let you guys know what happens next week when I could do it. So I'll announce it. Okay. Hi, Kathy. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Love you too, Jenny Jones. And thank you again for the donation. It's never necessary. I appreciate it, but I do this as my higher service to you always, to help you in your journey of life. And whatever I can contribute in my own little way to help you in your journey, it's my higher purpose. So thank you so much. Hi, Core One. Okay, so we're going to do a closing prayer because I'm going to take a 5-minute break before I go into my next meeting. Dear God, angel, spirit guides, send a message, divine prayer. Thank you so much for allowing us to open this wonderful, energetic space of love, compassion, and understanding the difference between discerning and judging so that we can make better decisions in our lives. I ask you to really empower each one of these beautiful souls to understand the infinite potential, their infinite gifts and talents that you have uniquely bestowed on each one of these persons so that they could feel more unconditionally worthy, more good enough that they could manifest, that they don't feel like they're being judged or rejected. And if they do get rejected, that rejection is a blessing in disguise so that they may move in a different direction. So thank you so much for continuing to reinforce these higher messages to us and these wisdoms with your infinite wisdom, love, power. And so we thank you for your continued support, your continued guidance, your continued protection, and most importantly, your unconditional love. And so it is. Namaste. I'll see you next week again. Much love and blessings to all of you. Bye.